Well, Mark is with us to reflect on Lee Carsley's England squad's announcement yesterday. Mark, one of the big talking points ahead of the announcement yesterday was all about Cole Palmer, just, you know, the kind of form he's in at the moment. You've got to start him, and do you kind of build a team around him? But now I suppose the big talking point is, how do you fit these three into your starting 11?
It was one of the big problems for Gareth Southgate as well. He had so many attack-minded talents that had brilliant campaigns for their respective clubs, that how could he fit them into that same side for England over the course of the Euros? And some might say he actually succeeded because they got to the final and performed exceptionally well. But did you get the best out of the individuals? Did you see the very best out of some of these players as well? So it'd be interesting to see how Lee Carsley adapts to this. This is the first time that Foden, Bellingham and Palmer have been involved for Lee Carsley because of injury, illness and various things going on in the first international break of the season. He couldn't select all of them. So now we're going to see how he deals with having all three of these talents in the same side. Now, for Gareth Southgate, these were key players. Lee Carsley now has the opportunity to work with the trio for the first time, and this was something he spoke about yesterday at his squad announcement.
Like all of the players, I think it's a challenge with the squad that we've got. We've got so many talented players. Always look at finding the right balance. You know, who complements who in terms of the way that we play. I try not to get too caught up in positions and too positional. Whereas it's more the attributes and the way that we can potentially attack the opposition. So, like you say, all three are excellent players, as are the rest of the squad.
So that was Lee Carsley speaking yesterday. Now let's move along, because this is the big talking point. How do we fit these players into the same system? So if you come over here, Emma, you can see the heat maps for Cole Palmer, Phil Foden and Jude Bellingham. This was in the European Championships over the course of the summer.
I mean, you would say that Palmer arguably played less minutes than the likes of Jude Bellingham, though, wouldn't you? So you've got to take that into account. Yeah,
absolutely. You're right to focus on that. So he didn't play as many minutes as these two. Obviously, La Liga's player of the season, the Premier League player of the season, they were always really going to start, and that was one of the dilemmas that Gareth Southgate had. But you can see Jude Bellingham during the Euros on that left-hand side, playing as a 10 most of the time. A little bit of defensive responsibility there, but obviously most of the touches where he was on the pitch was in that left-hand channel there. That's where he seemed to gravitate towards. And you can see also one of the problems...
Similar, yeah.
That's it. This is one of the
Same area.
You've got Phil Foden on the left-hand side as well, picks up little opportunities on the right-hand side, but predominantly all of the touches, all of the work he's doing is down on that left-hand side. And this for Cole Palmer, very similar to his form for Chelsea last season. His heat map for Chelsea would look almost exactly the same as this. Down on that right-hand side, that's where the action areas are. That's where he picks up the ball. That's where he does most of his good work. But the problem is, how do you fit these players in when they're all playing brilliantly for their clubs? And, of course, you can only have so many players. And that's one of the big dilemmas that Lee Carsley has got.
What's the answer?
Now, obviously, Lee Carsley has used the players in various ways. He played Cole Palmer as a deep-lying midfielder, a number 10, and he played him off the right-hand side of the attack whilst he was the under-21s manager as well. Interestingly, Jude Bellingham has been playing in a deeper role for Real Madrid this season, and potentially could go in as an 8 or a 6 alongside Declan Rice. So they're options as well. And Phil Foden, as we know, can play as a 10, can play on the right-hand side, can play on the left-hand side as well. But the trio only had a limited amount of time together playing for the Euros, playing at the Euros. So, yeah, going to be fascinating to see how things are twisted and tweaked and what Lee Carsley does. We know that Harry Kane will play as a 9, and Bukayo Saka, of course, has been so effective for England on that right-hand side.
Yeah, these aren't the only players.
That's the thing.
There's even more to throw in.
Interestingly, for 2 of the goals that England scored during the Euros, the Saka goal against Switzerland and the Palmer goal in the final against Spain, all 3 of these players were on the pitch.
Wow, OK. I don't think we've helped Lee out there, have we?
No.
No.